You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Defiance After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Defiance After Show.
Hey there, Defiance fans. Welcome back to the Defiance After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 7. If you could see her through my eyes, I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me this week, Mr. Nando Velasquez.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to a scheduling issue yesterday, there was an issue with our DVR, and the show didn't record in time for us to tape last night. So we apologize to those of you Defiance fans who were looking forward to the show this morning and couldn't find it, and Scott and Jesse weren't able to make this special retape time. But we do have a very special guest with us today, Miss Tiio Horn. Are you with us?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
For those of you who don't know, Tiio plays Rynn on the show, who we got to see again after a long absence. It's great to have you back.
Oh, it's nice to be back.
I want to say we got to see her again. I feel like that's an important word for some reason. Oh, sorry.
Hi-yo.
So you're shooting today. Yeah. Are you still shooting on Defiance? Is that still shooting right now?
Oh, no.
No.
I'm shooting a mini-series.
Oh, wow.
Called The Fixer with Kathleen Robertson and Eric Dane in Montreal.
Oh,
wow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So in this episode, it's great to have you back. I just want to know the Arathian makeup. How long does it take for you to get in and out of that stuff? And how involved is it?
Well, from the morning, as soon as I get there until I'm ready to go on set, it takes 3 hours.
Oh, man.
So, there's the makeup, but there's also everything else. There's the prosthetic makeup, there's the wig. First it's the wig, and then it's the prosthetics, and then it's the makeup, like eyelashes and stuff like that. And then it's costume, which there's a lot of, there's a lot of things to tie for some reason. I have a corset and my necklace I have to tie, things around my wrist, my boots. My boots are knee high, so yeah, there's a lot of, it takes a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of patience.
How long does it take with the wardrobe then?
With the wardrobe, another half an hour.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Wow.
3.5 hours. So where has Rynn been all this time? She kind of popped in and out last season. She was arrested, then she got free, then she was here, then she wasn't. Where's she been?
She's been hanging out in the Badlands.
Hell yeah.
Doing some fucking kick-ass. Oh, excuse me.
You're all right.
She's badass. She's badass in the Badlands. You get to give every now and then a curse word
exactly.
comes out. That's all right. So she's been out kicking butt?
But I mean, so how cool is it? This is my favorite thing about the way that the show went last night when I read the script. I was like, okay, so Rynn is pretty friggin' badass as it is, as it stands. And now she could potentially get an eye patch.
Yeah, exactly. Now
you can't get more.
That's an
you
extra
cannot
what?
get more badass.
That's an extra 2 minutes with wardrobe, maybe a minute. So many little pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
I'm excited to see what the costume girl does with it.
I will say,
amazing. Simonetta is amazing. The stuff that she designed.
I will say that when we saw the result of what happened with that operation, a part of me was thinking, well, now she gets a badass eye patch.
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
Kind of still fits in her character, so it's not really like anyone else. You'd be like, oh my god, they lost an eye. But with Rynn, it's like, I get to be.
Oh my god, she lost an eye.
I'm still a little bit of that, but now it's like, but check out how badass I look now.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
Rynn works with what she's got.
Yeah, and she's a badass fighter. I don't think it'll take her long to fight without depth perception.
Yeah, she's going to get it. She's going to rock it. She's going to surprise everyone.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's definitely been good to see you. It's good to see you return because you definitely caused a big stir in season 1 with Irisa
and with the
Yutsukar.
Hellbuzz.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really.
I know. I feel like she was like misunderstood. You know, like a teenager. You know, like just like a misunderstood teenager, and she was angry last year and had her good reason to be angry, and now this year, like I like that she comes back and they're happy to see each other, her and Irisa.
Yeah. Well, she even
I'm really
says
happy that it's like
when you're explaining Irisa, when you're introducing Irisa, you're kind of like, well, she may have been touched by Urzu or just a little odd.
Yeah.
All that anger and everything's just gone to, okay, I kind of accept you because you're kind of part of my god now or something. So.
Yeah, or whatever.
Part of my
Yeah,
culture.
well, they're kind of actually share like a similar background in a way, you know. So like adopted, taken care of by somebody else, and mistreated as a child. Well, I mean, Rynn went through like a traumatic experience with their parents and everything. So yeah, no, I think there's like a kinship there with Irisa and Rynn. I like it. I love working with her too. It's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
How has Defiance been for you for your career? I mean, I know when SyFy originally announced Defiance, it was a year in the making before the first episode even aired, with all the major characters. And how has it been for you playing on Defiance?
It's been so great. I mean, like I auditioned for a couple characters. I auditioned for Rynn. I auditioned for the wife of or the young. Christie.
Yeah.
You know the Graham Greene's daughter.
Yeah.
Rafe's daughter.
Yes,
okay,
Christie.
so I auditioned for that, and then I ended up. They offered me this role. They were like, "Oh, it's a small part in the pilot, but it has potential to grow." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then I had no idea. I was like, "Wow, I like her." Like I'm probably having more fun playing this than I would have any of the other roles, you know. And I like that she sort of like comes back and forth, comes in and out, you know. Like I'm also working on Hemlock Grove, so she's like a character that I can pop in and out, and it still works, you know.
Yeah.
And it's been so good for my career, really. Like I have a lot of support.
That's great. What I really love about her, to me, is like even more than Irisa, who has had this strong human influence her whole life. Rynn is who I imagine like a prototypical Arathian to be, if that makes sense. Are you still there?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Say it again.
I was just saying she's what an Arathian I think is supposed to be. She's wild. She's all over the place. She doesn't take any crap. And I was just wondering if you could speak to sort of the Arathian mindset as you have like come to develop it, or that you use when you're playing her.
Well, I don't know. It's weird because like I play a gypsy on another show on Hemlock Grove, and I feel like there's sort of like a similarity between where Rynn and the Arathians come from. You know, like they live in caravans in the Badlands. You know, so I feel like she's connected. They're very like spiritual people, right? Or Votans, and I think that there's like a connection to something greater than themselves, and I think they like to be kept, or they like to have their not to be bothered. You know what I mean? They don't want to assimilate into society. They want to be left alone and still be respected. I think that I don't know. Does that answer anything? I'm just kind of like,
no, it helps.
Getting my
Yeah.
makeup done right now.
I was going to say, from what I understand, you're of Native American descent. From Mohawk.
Yeah.
And I was just curious because, I do see Arathians a bit. They definitely have spirituality about them. They definitely seem to come from, the country, from out in the wilderness, or at least that's where they thrive at. Did you notice anything at all, culturally speaking?
Oh, yeah, of course. And it was so funny because, like, like Graham Greene and then Justin Rain and Wesley French and like that family, they're all Native. And I was like, hey guys, and they're like, I'm like, I'm not part of your family. I'm actually playing one of the aliens. You know, like when I saw them on set. So that was kind of cool. And they're playing like, yeah, like the human family, which I thought was really cool. But I did, of course, I saw lots of similarities between. I think that's, you know, on purpose. I'm assuming. But yeah, like just how I found like a parallel with Native people and Romani people in Hemlock Grove. I found the same thing with the Irasians.
Great.
There's like they're very like, you know, tribal and they protect one another, and there's sort of like, you know, like a unsaid connection between each other. You know, there's only so long I think that Rynn and Irisa could hate each other until they just sort of had to like throw that shit aside and get along because it's them against everyone else, you know?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Well, Tiio, I want to thank you so much for calling us here at the show today. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for taking time off from the set.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Oh my
that you
God, I
have?
love you guys.
Is there anything else besides Hemlock Grove that we can expect to see you in shortly?
I'm doing an English series called 19-2. I have a recurring in that. It's like a cop show that takes place in Montreal, and a web series called Blank Page that we start shooting in a couple of weeks, where I play Paige, and that also takes place in Montreal. So it's pretty cool to be working back at home and have like a pretty busy month coming ahead. And then I'm going to be at Sacramento, California, like a convention thing, fan convention. So I'll be there at the end of the month.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Fan convention for anything in particular, or just a general fan convention?
They're bringing me for my work on Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, awesome.
For Assassin's Creed 3. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a Twitter handle that people can follow you at?
Yeah, just look. It's at my full name at Gagnadio, but just like look for Tiio Horn and it'll be verified.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great shoot.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Right,
Bye-bye.
you too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
For those of you who don't know, Tiio, you can look for Tiio Horn, and that's spelled Tiio. It was great having her on the show. Yeah. So let's jump into this episode. We've got kind of like our three big stories. We've got the continuing complications of the House of Tarr.
Yes.
And Daytak is stooping the lovely house girl Jelina. Who, like, I found it funny.
Interesting scene.
Yeah, and I found it funny. Like, we mentioned that she was very pretty a couple episodes ago, and someone like reached out and was like, "Good, I'm glad I'm not the only person who was like, she's like really pretty." And I guess that's just something that you do.
Apparently,
like,
that person was Daytak who reached out.
He owns her on some level, so like that's normal, even though he raised her. And he's like having sex with her, but he's yelling out Stahma's name, and he's kind of just like giving it to her.
Well, I love that whole exchange, because first she's saying his name, that he's the master, like, and he's like, "What do you think? I'm some kind of egomaniac?"
And she's like, "No,
no, is that the right answer?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Good." Actually, that wasn't a bad Daytak. And he wakes up the next morning hungover, and she is at his door with her eyeballs carved out. Horrifying.
Yes.
And
at this point, it could be anything, any possible reason for this for her to be dead.
Right. Well, I immediately jumped to Stahma. I'm like, of course, she's trying to get him sent back to Camp Reverie.
Yeah. Even though he did bring it up in the episode that she could have framed him last week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It wasn't her. They wind up working together, a kind of uneasy alliance, just, you know, for her sake, to find out who did it and bring them to justice.
Yeah, but again, very interesting exchange, because it seemed apparent that Stahma even knew that Jelina was sleeping with Daytak.
But that didn't seem like a huge problem.
Doesn't seem like a huge problem.
Yeah. Well, she was fine with him going to the night porters at the Need Want.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Fine with that too. Fine with her house servant going over for extracurricular activities with him as well. And
as long as she keeps the pool and everything, everything's fine.
If that was a normal human family, chances are it would be something. She probably would have framed Daytak or you know, had him guilty of it.
Well, if it was a normal human family,
Yeah.
I know. I think she would have used someone. If Stahma wanted to frame him, it wouldn't have been their housemaiden. It would have been someone else.
Somebody else. They would have just gotten somebody else. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I don't know that a human would be more apt to frame her husband for murder. But that's just me. In any case, before Jelina is killed, she runs into Christie, who has some white makeup. I'm sorry, baking powder.
Baking powder on her neck.
On her neck. Just some like rich, creamy baking powder that you can spread easily. Yeah. That's
spreadable baking powder.
Spreadable baking powder. It's the future.
It's the future.
Yeah.
That's the way we look at it.
So that, that's a thing. So yeah, last week we got introduced to this Lotus club where it has become a kink among humans to shed their skin and become and pose as Votans in this club and kind of like explore what it would be like to be an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some kind of, I guess Alec called it, Alak called it like a Castafan transvestite.
Yeah, that's what he called it.
Yeah.
And it kind of is, because they're just kind of like dressing up, and it's very insensitive. I mean, like, it's kind of like dressing in blackface almost, a little bit. I mean, their purpose is not about inciting any kind of like tension between these races.
Yeah.
It's more of a personal thing of like, I so want to be like one of these people that I want to dress up as them. But from a Votan perspective, it's got to feel pretty perverse.
Well, I think you actually, it was a good point saying like kind of similar to blackface, because I think that's one thing, at least back in the day when something like that existed, people who did that some of them didn't think it was that insulting at all, even though it was incredibly insulting to African Americans. So I think it's very similar, especially when we see Alak's reaction.
He's
to
horrified.
Christie doing that. He's completely horrified, even though Christie has these plausible explanations, just saying that I wanted to learn about your culture, I wanted to be more in tune with it, I feel like an outsider, but Alak just totally put his foot down for the first time.
For the first time, and now he puts his
foot down.
Great.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he couldn't put it down with his father. He's to put it down now when she's dressing up in this wig and this white makeup. And like, but at the same time, though, if Christie really wanted to learn, I know that like Treasure is kind of like doing this little weird sexual chess game here.
Yeah.
But if she wanted to learn about his culture, she could have asked about it. She could have asked him to treat her like a castie.
Well, don't forget, it's not all her fault right now, because she's also being played.
She's being played
hardcore. Yes, hardcore.
And we finally get sort of an idea of what Treasure's motives are in this moment where like Christie's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Alec finds this courting gem, and he's really upset by it.
Which Treasure just happens to show right in front of Alak, as if...
you forgot this very important, very rare courting gem.
I have no idea what this is, but I'm going to show it to you right now in front of your husband.
Yeah.
This little gem here.
She's trying to break up this marriage. She wants to be a princess. She's going to take it however she can. She's
going to steal it away.
Yeah, she's going to steal Christie's husband. And she's doing a great job of it so far.
She's doing a pretty damn good job of it.
Because, I mean, Alec didn't want to sleep with her at the beginning of the season. Now she's pouring him glass after glass of alcohol, and he's taking her up to the room, and he's doing it. It's sad. It's sad that she's fallen for it so quickly. She didn't see it coming, Christie.
Yeah. Well, she's just so nice. I mean, she has the same weakness as Alec. They're both too darn nice.
I know.
He's taking Treasure's word for all of this, and Christie's not even saying, well, Treasure put me, she's not even hinting that Treasure had anything to do with this.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't realize that Treasure is the person who ratted her out either. But they're just too darn nice.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like this is in no way what I ever could have expected their storyline to look like for season 2 of this show, based on season 1. But it's really, really great in that it gives Christie something interesting to do.
Yeah.
Besides be upset that her father and Alak's father don't get along, and that Alak is not the greatest husband in the world. She's found something in herself that gives her pride and makes her feel beautiful and interesting. Granted, it's a very racially insensitive thing that is leading her to that place, but
well, is it that, or is the fact that she's actually being courted? She's dressed up like this and she's being courted by Mercado.
someone who, I mean, granted, he's like kind of an old kinky weirdo, but at the same time, he is also treating her with a great deal of respect and is doing this very traditional courtship.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, she didn't have with Alak.
No.
He was a young punk that she fell for when she was a teenager,
Absolutely.
essentially.
Yeah.
So it's got to feel very, very good. And he just Mercado just keeps buttering her up in this club, like, everyone has their eyes on you right now. You're the most beautiful woman here. And she falls for it hook, line, and sinker. But the interesting and telling thing for me is when Mercado's like, you don't know who I am, do you? And she's like, no. And he's very kind of tickled by this. And I'm wondering if their relationship, if Alak and Christie's marriage continues to dissolve and Mercado kind of steps in and picks up the Christie pieces there, the kind of power and influence that Christie could have if she was on the arm of Mercado, I mean, as gross as that sounds, would be very interesting.
But it is that does have a possibly, like you said, very interesting dynamic between the two, because it's definitely a power family and somebody in a powerful position in Defiance. Very, very powerful.
Yeah, and should the minds ever go back to Rafe McCauley...
But again, it's still all sorts of weird because she's still married.
She's still married.
She's still technically married. And yeah, I mean, I could see Treasure getting in there with Alak. I mean, after all, it based on his father, I'm sure, who we even seen earlier in that episode, it's in his culture that it's perfectly acceptable to play the field, it seems like, as a Castathan.
In their culture, but he's married to a Castathan. He's married to a human.
And I feel like he is very, he's taken on most of the moral human traits from dating Christie, from living in Defiance, from being around humans. He's taken a much more of an earthly tone to him, as opposed to a Votan.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see that Treasure is also kind of inspiring him and making him realize that he's a Castathan and he should take control. He's upset right now. I mean, that scene between the two of them at the end was a very, very passionate scene. Yeah. I don't think you would, if we were to see a sex scene, I'm not asking that we do, if we were to see a sex scene between Christie and Alak, it would be a very similar type of scene.
Right. I thought for a second you were saying, I'm not asking for a sex scene between Alak and Treasure. I'm like, well, hold on.
No.
Then for a second I thought you were about to say, when you said Christie, I'm like, oh God, Christie and Mercado. Okay, yeah, no one's asking for that.
No one's asking for that.
No one's asking for that.
I'm asking for certain sex scenes, not other ones.
Okay, fair enough.
Not that one, not the Mercado.
Also interesting.
Yes.
She wants Mercado to call her Stahma. And when she says to Alak, I could be more like Stahma.
Yeah. And that's the second time someone is calling themselves Stahma in the episode.
Weird. But, like, she's got this admiration for Stahma, but at the same time, she, like, throws it in his face that he's Vizu and that he killed Skeever. And, you know, she despises this criminal element that she knows that Stahma is very much a part of and is the leader of. So then why does she also admire Stahma at the same time? Is it just because she admires a woman who takes power for herself?
I think it's a little bit of that. I also think it's just Stahma's, you know, look, Christie is so moldable. I mean, I think anybody else could kind of see that Treasure is up to something.
Yeah.
Just to see how quickly Treasure just latched on to Christie and said, I got a great idea. Let's put you up in makeup and throw you in this club, you know, where you get courted by another man. I mean, anyone else would probably see this, but it just goes to show, I don't think she ever really saw Stahma in the Vizu capacity, because Stahma's just so, her language, the way she is just so smooth and manipulative almost, the way she gets across. So Christie admires that. She sees the power, but I don't think what she's accusing Alak for, she doesn't realize Stahma really is that person.
It's true.
Which is interesting.
I'm very, very excited to see what happens when Stahma finds out what's going on.
And I want to add too, because we didn't really bring it up because of the interview, but the name of this episode is "If You Could See Her Through My Eyes," and there are obviously the obvious pun with the case with the eyes missing from Jelina, but there's a lot of, just like in last week's episode, this woman's work. There seems to be a lot of references to that, and it's almost like what Christie says: if you could see her through my eyes. So she sees Stahma in a very different way.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
it's also very punny. But yes.
It's true. But here's what I want to see. So Stahma, she's someone who appreciates and respects cruelty, and she appreciates and respects deviousness. Do you think that she would see what Treasure has done and be upset, or do you think that she would look at her with respect? Because Castathans do respect cruelty and deviousness, but at the same time, they're also very traditional, and they take tradition very, very seriously. So to break up a marriage, I think might even be a worse offense than killing a competitor.
I think anything to toughen up her son would make her feel a little better, because I think she even notices Alak is a little too timid, a little too, she doesn't mind the fact that she's Vizu, because according to tradition, Alak should have been Vizu when Daytak was in prison. But I think she wouldn't mind that. But at the same time, Treasure's kind of inferred that she's played games with Daytak before too, and she slept with Daytak, and obviously this is a woman who craves power. So I think Stahma would respect her, but not have her too close, or rather have her close enough just to snap her neck if she needs to.
Yeah,
just close enough to ruin her.
All right.
I think she would respect her. I think there definitely is that. But then the other thing is Christie is part of Rafe. Well, I don't know how much power Rafe really has.
He doesn't have any right now, but should
Treasure might be the better option.
But should Rafe and Daytak oust the Earth Republic from Defiance, Rafe could suddenly have a lot of power again.
Have his minds back, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, real quick, I just want to mention iTunes, folks. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Go to iTunes, rate and review this show and any other shows you listen to or download. It's the best way to support AfterBuzz TV. We put out between 60 and 70 hours of free content a week. It's a super huge effort that we're putting out there to get that stuff to you all for free. Our engineers work tirelessly to make this happen. So if you feel like giving back, it just takes a second. Doesn't cost a dime. Rate and review the show. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep the lights on here and keep our engineers paid. Paid. Okay. So we got that going on. We've also got the eye thing and the ongoing struggles of Irisa. Nolan has been contracted to kind of look into this this matter of the missing eyes, and he's not really getting any leads. Meanwhile, Irisa comes across Rynn and her riding companion Mordecai, or Kai, who looks just like the guy from Irisa's visions aboard the Kaziri from her past life, apparently. Yes. We still don't know what's up with that. Is it it's got to be a past life, but I've never heard. I don't know that they believe in incarnation necessarily.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% clear on that either.
Reincarnation. She sees Kai and she's like, "Oh my God, do you know me?" And he's like, should I? And I love that he's a Jewish Arathian, which is just so weird and silly to me, and I love it. I love that he's a Jewish Arathian, and he's a businessman. And like, that's the thing. It's like, at first you see this Arathian businessman who like doesn't seem tribal at all, and I'm like, oh, he's interesting. And it's like, oh, he's Jewish. Oh, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. It makes me happy. She's kind of obsessed with this guy. She's like, look, you don't know, but like, there's a thing going on here. He's like, listen, I have a girlfriend. I mean, we're not exclusive, but like, we have an understanding, so I appreciate your interest, but no thanks. She cuts herself open to try to bring some of these memories back. And then later on in the episode, she kisses Mordecai, and suddenly he gets all the memories, and we get a clear picture of what happened after she said it's time to take over the ship. they kind of shut down what I imagine were sort of like the ship's organic computers.
Yeah, it seemed like something like that.
So the Kolovan, they laid down the Kolovan, put one in each of their bodies. And I have to imagine that those are the organic computers of the ship. But then why is it that the ship is causing her to re-implant it in all these people and like kill their organic bodies? It's so weird to me. I don't understand what this ship was for.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could see is, I mean, that first vision that she had, I noticed all those, they almost look like pods in the background. So that's why I don't think it's a past life. I almost feel like this is some alternate reality that she's going to or something, you know, and maybe these pods are people she's already been with and she's killed, so to speak.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it. But it's still very unclear in some way to me.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I definitely want more answers. She's still hiding things from Nolan, hiding this whole thing. And when Jelina turns up dead, the same way that, Birdie turned up dead, he has to ask, do you know anything about this? She's like, no, of course not. Okay, I don't know anything. When but
based on his suspicions from Birdie, that's why he went to her. Yeah.
He's still thinking about it. So when they finally they find out from Doc Yule that this other doctor is, implanting all of these Votan eyes, these Votan corneas in humans so that they can feel a little more Votan for this crazy Lotus Club. They track him down and he stabs Irisa with scissors. Snap! A wound in front of Nolan. I'm like, yes, okay, great move, writers. Let's get these two on the same page. And it heals before Nolan can see it. Like, he runs out. She says, just go ahead, I'll be fine. And it heals. So then at the end of the episode, he like sneaks up on her and slices her hand open in like what's a very brutal thing, just to see for himself what's really going on.
But that whole scene, like, he took her down
really
judo
intense.
style.
Yeah.
And it was a little battle there just to finally get the answer he wants.
And he reminded her, we only have one rule. We live or die together. And holding their father and daughter. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad that these two are back on the same page. He's protecting her. She's able to confide in him now. And now maybe we can move forward towards some of the answers that we seek. Plus, I think now that they're working together, there's a much better chance that we can get them back in the Kaziri before the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. All right, what else? So, yeah, Daytak and Rafe, they track first of all, they dispose of Jelina's body outside of town.
Yes.
Yule is like, you're a master criminal, take care of it. And Rafe helps him carry it out there, and then a hellbug grabs it and eats it. Sad way to go.
Very sad way to go, considering she was such a loyal to the family, loyal maiden to the family.
Yeah. And Rynn gets kidnapped by this doctor, and he cuts out one of her corneas, and now she's gonna have this badass eye patch.
I think it's gonna be really badass.
Yeah. I don't know if she misspoke, but I'm just gleaning from what Dio told us. She's like, I hope the costume people are gonna, give me something cool. I think that means that she's not coming back this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that means that she wasn't seen with an eye patch.
Well, that's the thing about her. It didn't seem like there was any reason to keep her there much longer. It seemed like she was going to go off with Kai.
Yeah, she's just dropping by.
They were just dropping by. They were going to go off on another trip or something. So, who's to say? But yeah, I would guess that might be the last we see of her for a little while. But hopefully she'll be back with that badass eye patch.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah,
I think it'll be awesome.
All right. Is there anything else?
But I think just to mention just for his arc, I think Daytak. Daytak had an option to. Obviously, he was very, very passionate about the death of Jelina.
Yeah.
And to see him working with Rafe, and to see that scene when they finally catch the doctor, and he even said he promised Stahma he wouldn't kill him.
Yeah.
And just to put his fingers in the doctor's eyes, that was such a creepy thing. But it's Daytak showing that he can adapt a little bit more. He knows he can't really go by the old ways. He would have killed him in season 1. He would have killed him, no doubt.
No doubt, instantly.
No doubt. But here he is showing his version of
restraint.
Yes, his version of restraint.
Yeah. I love continuing to see these folks evolve, and you know, this season has not gone in a direction that I could have expected, but I feel like we have all these balls in the air.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the season. Something's got to give, man.
And missing from this episode too, because I was just gonna say how, you know, again, this more or less started and ended in a sex scene, kind of like last week's did. But missing from this episode is Berlin and Tommy.
Berlin and Tommy.
So we still don't know exactly what ramifications of Berlin and Nolan
Bad news,
are.
man.
Yeah, we still don't know about that.
She used him. She used him to get back at Tommy.
Yeah.
And it is like, if he was ever gonna get Tommy's trust back, I mean, it's gonna be hard now. I mean, it was hard then.
Yeah, but I kind of am curious. I mean, I have no problem seeing a scene with Treasure in it, sex scene with Treasure in it, but I wouldn't mind seeing more Berlin too.
I would agree.
Yes,
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time for predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so I didn't get a chance to see the scenes from next week.
I didn't either because I watched it online
Okay,
because
well,
we had that technical
perfect.
difficulty. So
yeah.
we have nothing to spoil.
Yeah, well, I have to imagine that now that Nolan knows Irisa's secret, by next week he will know the extent of it. The quote-unquote killings, that people are coming back to life, that it keeps healing her, and they come up with a proactive solution to try to explore it and figure out what's going on. I think Pottinger is coming back from whatever his duties were outside the city. And we also have that little moment with Amanda and Mercado where he basically insinuates that he would love to kick Pottinger out and install her as the new mayor of Defiance, albeit one under the Earth Republic's thumb. So we may have some movement on that front as well.
I think, well, I mean, I definitely want to see Pottinger back. I think it's really interesting. And also the fact that Mercado hinted in this episode to Amanda that he might decide to put her back in charge.
Yeah.
So, what you were saying, I was distracted. I was looking at something here. So if I'm repeating anything you said.
That's what I was just talking about.
That's what you were talking about. So, never mind. So, I agree with you.
Okay. Sweet.
I was trying to look for some news while we were doing that because I felt like there was some news, but I can't.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't
That's
find it
okay.
right now. We'll do news.
Yeah.
sometime.
I'm also very curious about this Christie Mercado connection. And I want to see how Stahma interacts with Treasure. I already said that. But I think that pretty much runs it down.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. And well, also, I want to see what's going to happen with Urzu now that Nolan knows the truth.
Yes, exactly. Because
I think
technically,
yeah.
she said if you tell him, you have to kill him. And she didn't tell him. He just found out. So I think he's protected. On some level. On some level, but I imagine we're going to check in with Urzu next week.
Yeah, I would think we would to find out exactly what the deal is with that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, I want to thank you all for downloading, watching, listening, streaming. We really, really appreciate it. Nando, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel.
Okay.
Yeah, and on various shows here on AfterBuzz. I'm doing Falling Skies right now for the summer.
Great.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube. And you can find me on all sorts of shows over here. The Strain is the big one that's going on right now. If you're not watching that show, you're missing out. It's super cool. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.